Hey everyone, it's Dorcas and welcome back to my channel. Now, if you watched my Empire State Pen Show video, you'll know that I was able to buy an Esterbrook Estie. It's my first Estie, but I have yet to ink it. And so I thought for this video, we would swatch a few of the brown inks that I have that I think would be a good fit for this pen, and then choose which one will be the first ink in my new Esterbrook. So I'm gonna put that right there. And I'm going to be using this glass spoon that I bought from Fountain Pendulum at that same show. And so I have 12 different brown inks that I'm going to swatch on this paper, and then hopefully I'll be able to make a decision. They're all beautiful browns and I just kind of want to see it all laid out together. I do have my swatch book here, which helped me narrow down which browns I want to compare. But again, I just want to see it all together so that it's a little easier for me to just put the pen against the ink, and also so that you all get to see the different brown inks that I have. I know that Karina from Karina Loves to Plan recently did her own brown inks collection. So this is kind of inspired by her, but also I really want to finally ink this pen. So to start, I'm going to go with, let's go with Robert Oster's Caffe Crema. And this is a really popular brown. So I also have some water here so I can clean this after. And I'm doing this on Rhodia ink. Rhodia paper. Okay, so we're gonna let that sit and dry there. And hopefully this is not gonna go through the, okay, so far so good. All right, so that I do not forget, I'm gonna go writing down the ink color. Robert Oster, Caffe Crema. And I've already put this on other pens, but this is my first journaler nib, which I'm really excited about. So we'll see what it looks like. Well, first let's see if that's even the winner. Let's go with this other Robert Oster ink. And this one is the collab with the Coffee Monsterz Co. And it is Coffee Monster. Oop, I'm supposed to just put a few dots, but I'm still kind of learning different ways of swatching. But this was one of the ways that we did at the ink swatch exploration workshop that I took with Galen of Fountain Pendulum. So let me put that there. I'm trying to go a little quicker than I did when I swatched all of those inks that I got over the summer. So Robert Oster, Coffee, Monster. This is a nice rich brown, whereas the other one is a little more yellow. Okay, so let's put that there. Next up, we're gonna go with, I think I have, let's go with the Diamine. So this first Diamine is chocolate brown. This is nice and this is even deeper, but we don't necessarily want to go for the darkest brown here because the pen has yellow and creams. So this one is Diamine Chocolate Brown. Next, we'll go with the next Diamine, which is Diamine Raw Sienna. All right, next up, we're gonna go with Herbin Lie de Thé. I feel like I should have condensed those a little bit because I want to do 6 and 6, but we'll see. I think we can fit it in. Now, if you remember, I bought a bottle of Lie de Thé at the Empire State Pen Show, but this is the little sample that I had bought back when I did my first purchases at Yoseka a couple years ago. So figured let me bring it out. The bottles are so cute, and it's just, that has lasted me so long. This is the thing I don't really like about using Rhodia paper, even though it's very good paper. I just find like it absorbs or makes the ink dry so quick, which I guess that's a good thing when you're when you're writing. You don't want to smudge your ink, but it's kind of drying too quick on me before I'm able to spread the ink around. Lie de Thé. And finally, for this row, we are going to go with, let's see, so I don't get confused, let me put them to the side. Oh, we had another Robert Oster, so we're just going to add it here at the bottom. So this is Ochre. Let's mix that around before it dries. Yeah, so that's definitely a lot more orangey, which could still be a really nice fit. Okay, so let's just write that down. Okay, so then let's go here, and we're gonna go with, let me see if there are any others that go together. Right, So we're going to go with Lennon Toolbar Sesame Oil, another really popular brown. Okay, so that one has a bit of kind of reddish or yellows. It's very nice. Okay. Next, we're gonna go with the Sailor inks that I have. So the first one is Sailor Ink Studio 373. Try not to take too much because I don't have a lot of that one left. So this one is much lighter. So I don't know if that one's gonna be a good fit. Let's add a little bit more to see if it'll darken it up a bit, but I think it's just a lighter shade. Okay, so we're gonna let that dry. Next is another Sailor Ink Studio, and this one is 680. Okay, this one is much darker. And I've noticed like that the Sailor inks dry much faster than the Robert Oster inks and the Diamine inks. I had a little bit more time to spread those around, but these are drying super fast. Which is also something to consider. You know, if an ink is wet or dry, sometimes, you know, can affect how it's flowing from your fountain pen nib. And the paper also has something, you know, to do, but that's why it's good to kind of swatch it all on the same paper so that then you can compare. So some things are, you know, just a control if you're just working with the same paper throughout. And one thing I'm not doing, and make sure it's not going to the other side, one thing I'm not doing is swatching it on the paper that I'm going to actually be using it in, because I'm going to be using it on Tomoe River paper in my Hobonichi notebooks. So I am not doing that because I don't have a big enough sheet. I mean, I have just A5 size, but I want to lay it all out on the same page. So the next one we're going to do, actually, let me write this down. This was, yes, Sailor Ink Studio. $6.80. And next, I'm going to do Pilot Iroshizuku Yama-guri. I don't know that I've used this one before. I can sometimes tell just from the level of ink in the sample. This one's looking pretty full. I usually have my go-to browns. Like I love Cacao do Brasil, but I haven't pulled it for this instance because it's a little too light. It's more of a cream, and I do want to go with a little more a truer brown for this pen. Let's see, I have used Coffee Monster before. I have used sesame oil, I think I've used. Now I don't remember. It can lean a little light if you have fine nibs, which is probably why I haven't used it in a while. But I'm starting to go a little broader, guys. I definitely used Lie de Thé before. Caffe Crema for sure. I think that's, I've used that in my Twisby Eco. Sorry. The white with the rose gold. So this one is Pilot Iroshizuku Yama-guri. Okay, just 2 more to go. This one is Ferris wheel press Oyster Hour, another popular one. And I'm curious to see if it'll be too light, but again, there are light parts to this pen, and because it's a journaler nib, it's kind of like a stub formed from a medium. So I think I can go light and it'll still be legible. Let me add a little bit more just so that I can see what it looks like when it's a little more saturated. That was Ferris wheel press Oyster Hour. And last but not least, I have this Pinky Elephant and Tag Stationery collab. And this one is called Coffee Brown. And I did swatch this when I was going through all of my inks that I collected over the summer. But let's do it again here. Put that right there. Let's see how this one compares to the others. I have to be careful because this bottle is pretty full. I'm sure non-fountain pen people are like, they all look the same. Why do you need so many of the same shade? To which the rest of us who are into fountain pens will say, no, there are definitely subtle differences from one to the other. And again, if you are not familiar with fountain pen inks, you know, there are some that as they dry, they have different properties, like maybe they have sheening or shading where, you know, there are certain colors that pop out, you know, in the very saturated areas that at first glance you won't be able to tell, but once it dries out and you can see how the colors separate or what's in the edges, those other properties start to come out. Or maybe they have shimmer, which none of these have shimmer because I do not want to put any shimmer on this pen. And then also, I mean, I feel like shimmer is nice sometimes, but for everyday writing or journaling, I don't need all that pizzazz. I just want, you know, a nice, easy on the eyes color that I am not going to get tired of. So we're going to give this a little bit of time to dry out, and then we're going to come back and look a little more closely at the differences, put the pen up against each, and then see see which one we go with. Again, it's just the first fill, so it's not like I'm married to that color. And then we'll take it from there. Okay, so for the most part, they're all pretty much dry. It's just Oyster Hour is taking a little bit extra time. And so I'm gonna go a little closer just so that you can see all of the different ones. So we've got Robert Oster Caffe Crema, Coffee Monster, Diamine Chocolate Brown. See if you can see the light. Raw Sienna, Lie de Thé, Ochre. On this side we have Sesame Oil, Sailor Ink Studio 373, which is a little too gray for me. 680, which is very similar. It seems very similar to Yama-guri. Let's see if I can show any differences within them. They look pretty similar to me. And then Oyster Hour and Coffee Brown by Pinky Elephant. So yeah, Oyster Hour I feel is out. All right, so let's see. You know, there are some that are, you know, clear eliminations right off the bat. So let's see. So not Oyster Hour, not Sailor Studio 373. Caffe Crema looks nice. I mean, that's a classic, as does Coffee Monster. How do I feel about Chocolate Brown? It's very dark. This is gonna be so hard because they all look, there's so many good options. There's so many different varieties of browns in this pen. I mean, it's so pretty, but let's see. So not ochre. I feel like that's a little too reddish. Not sesame oil. Neither of these two. I feel like these are just too brown. Like they're so dark that you can barely tell that they're brown. I mean, if I'm really close, so I can tell, but I want kind of like a richer brown without leaning too heavily onto the black. So it'll be something on this side. Is it gonna be Caffe Crema or Coffee Monster? I feel like this was also very dark. Not as dark as these two, but let's see. Not Lie de Thé. I feel like, does chocolate brown have a sheen on it? Almost looks like there's a green sheen on it. So I don't want that then. Let's see, so it's between these two. And I will have to admit, okay guys, Caffe Crema, everyone has Caffe Crema. It is such a popular color. So that's why I'm trying to like lean away from it, because it feels so basic to go with Robert Oster Caffe Crema, because again, who doesn't have that color? But what do you guys think? Should I go with that one? Is it too orange for this? I mean, on camera it looks like such a good match. Let's see. With the gold. Yeah, this is too orange. Yeah, it's gonna have to be Caffe Crema. What do you think? Let's see. Let's look at it a little more closely. I'm sure maybe some of you are like, no, don't go with that one. But again, remember, it's just the first fill. And I can always try it out, cycle through some browns before, you know, that's the nice thing about fountain pens, right? Is that you can change up the color. I'm not married to the same ink color for all eternity. So I think I'm gonna go with Caffe Crema. And if I decide I want to change it down the line, that's totally fine. But I don't think, yeah, these weren't it. So why don't we go ahead and ink this up? And this comes with a converter. So I'm going to put this in the nib in the ink bottle, and there's this little piston that goes up and down, and I will push it all the way down, and when I put it in the ink and start twisting it, it'll pull up the ink into this converter. So I'm not going to put a ton of ink in there, again, just in case I want to switch it up later or want to try out a new brown. I'm going to put that in. Okay. That should be enough for now. And I'm going to use, I've been using my my cannoli from Inky. I'm going to open that up, and so then I can wipe my nib on it. Okay. This is it's a big nib now that I'm looking at it. So let me close this up before I have an accident. And I'm going to put this back in. And I am going to, of course, now there's a siren. And I'm going to grab this. This is an old Stalogy. This is my first Stalogy when I started bullet journaling back in 2017. And one day I'll do kind of a history of Dorcas planning and journaling. So I abandoned it at some point. I forgot what year, probably 2018. And ever since then, I'm just using it as scratch paper, so that when I want to test out an ink color or make sure like get a pen working again, this is what I grab. But this is working right off the bat. It's so smooth. Sorry, I'm not talking because I can't talk and write. It's nice. It is very nice. Let me zoom you in a little bit. Yeah. So again, this is the Journaler nib by Gina of Custom Nib Studio. So it's thicker than a fine for sure. And this nib is, let's see if you can, it has her or their initials on there. And it's gonna bother me that there's ink in these little grooves, but I'll clean that better later. But all right, it's very nice. And I think, what do we think of this color match? That's it. It's pretty spot on. I mean, there's a reason why Caffe Crema is as popular as it is, because it is a lovely shade of brown. And if anything, it's probably a little lighter than it's showing up on camera, but it's still very pretty. Very pretty. So let me zoom you back out. Okay. So with that, my first Estie is now inked and ready to use. And I'm very happy with the color we went with. The ones on this side definitely weren't the right match. It was definitely between, you know, maybe even these four right here at the top. But thank you so much for watching and just going through this process with me. And I hope that you got to learn about some new browns. I definitely have some more on the list since watching Karina's collection of brown inks. So, I mean, brown is one of my favorite that I love to collect. And I will probably keep an eye out for some more shades to add to my collection. I'll link to her video as well in case you're on the hunt for some other browns that maybe weren't here. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment below if there's a certain shade of brown that you've been loving lately, or if you've tried any of these and they're your go-to. So again, thank you for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!